Now, and then I said 100 Year Quest, if we're being blunt, has not been that good. Post Mercphobia, it has been boring. Maybe it's because of the bi-weekly and it feels like it's dragging. It could be, I will admit, it might be that. But if I try and ignore that and I look at all the stuff that's happened post Mercphobia, to me, this is a shitty romance with a side of action. That's what this has become.
Okay. So my thing is, and this is when I said we should probably record this. 100 Years Quest is vastly superior than Fairy Tail. There's maybe one or two arcs where it is not better than Fairy Tail, but everything else about Fairy Tail 100 Years Quest is vastly superior than Fairy Tail.
I don't disagree with that, but at the same time, it is just a shitty romance with a side of action.
How can it be better, but then you call it shitty?
Because Fairy Tail, to me, I enjoyed Fairy Tail quite a lot, but critically, I don't think it's that good of a series. I never have, but I've enjoyed it and I've loved the series for the character interactions and the music and the way the story is told. But I will not sit here and pretend like Fairy Tail's story itself is an amazing story.
I feel like, based on what you just said, it's more that you've grown bored of the characters.
I haven't, because a lot of them I still thoroughly enjoyed it and I still recommend Fairy Tail to people. But I've always said that Fairy Tail as a story itself isn't that great. 100 Year Quest, my problem is, right, I don't like it when there's such a heavy force and a heavy focus on romance when the genre of the story isn't a romance genre. It is, it's gone from a fantasy adventure to
it's still an adventure.
It is, but it's more a romance than the other stuff. That's my problem. I just don't like the fact that there's just all this random romance. Well, not random, but there's romance being thrown in and around. Like, it feels like every arc they have to force in some kind of romance aspect of it.
I think you're, and I'm the king of overreaction, so I'm not trying to offend you. I think you're overreacting because, and I feel like you're comparing it too much to Fairy Tail because Fairy Tail had none of it. So the fact that there's actually some in these story arcs makes you think, well, like, what the fuck? This isn't Fairy Tail. Fairy Tail never had this character romance.
Yeah, possibly. I like the character developments that we're getting. It's great. I like the fact that Grey is actually now not being a little bitch ass and saying, all right, Juvia, like, let's talk about our feelings, right? And I like that Jazz is getting this little bit of extra development now that Jalal and Urza can actually talk face to face without one of them freaking the fuck out. I like that, right? But the thing is, it still feels like it has just become a shitty romance with a side of action, right? I've been reading a lot of romance manga in the last few months, right? And romance and rom-coms have been my favorite genre. This is trying to be a shitty romance with a side of action, a side of fantasy adventure. I don't like that. I don't like it when they take the genre and shift it and put too much focus onto something else that's not meant to be part of that genre per se.
But they didn't shift it. They just have scenes and
but there are a lot more scenes than.
I mean, there's a lot more scenes, but at the same time, there was like one panel per 100 chapters for Fairy Tail, whereas
because it's not a romance genre.
Yeah, but
it never was.
I mean, it doesn't need to be a romance genre to have romantic.
It's like when you start throwing ships into My Hero. No. The story is based on people learning to become heroes.
I mean, there's Fairy small parts of romance in the series.
Yeah, but I'm not saying that it's bad, right? I'm just saying that it shouldn't have as much of a focus as it does. Everything post-Mercphobia, pre-Mercphobia, we didn't have that much ship stuff, right, at all.
I mean, that was like 2 chapters, so that's not really.
No, Mercphobia was a solid 15 or so chapters. I'm talking from the start of 100 Year Quest to the end of the Mercphobia.
Mercphobia had the fucking Nalu shit that had everybody going wild. What do you mean?
They go wild over them just saying hi to each other. But the thing is, post Mercphobia, there's been a heavier, more focus on ship stuff, right, than the actual story of 100 Year Quest. Because the plot of 100 Year Quest has been lackluster. Alderaan dragged. Alderaan as a whole, right? Character development wise, Alderaan was great, right? Because we saw Natsu actually interact and accept Zareth as his brother and all of that was great. But the actual plot has been Fairy Tail has become a big bad of the week.
So okay, you're confusing me, and this is where a lot of the fandom confuses me. You're complaining that Fairy Tail has become too straightforward, where it's like Team Natsu fights a dragon, right? But then when they try to expand that and give different characters relevancy, you're still complaining
But they're
that
not giving different characters relevancy.
Against Alderaan, they gave Brandish a good amount of screen time. They gave
but Brandish was already a relevant character.
And they gave, but they're still giving other characters besides Team Natsu.
I'm not complaining about that. My point is, right? Okay,
you can't.
They're taken away, right? Okay. Let me put it. Okay, I have no problem with stuff being a big bad of the week if it's done right. If it's done with the actual jumping from each big bad of the week, right, in an interesting and fun way, a good way. But they're taken away from that actual. There's two plots going on in 100 Year Quest, right? There's the plot to whole with the actual dragon gods, right? And then there's this romance element, right, where every ship is trying to get its development, right, in and between the arcs. Some of it during the arcs, okay. The secondary one, the one that should be secondary, the romance side, is too heavy-handed compared to the actual plot of the Dragon Gods. The Dragon Gods plot itself has been very lackluster and really boring. It has not been that great.
Again, they give relevance to side characters from Fairy Tail in Alderaan. I'm speaking about Alderaan specifically.
Yeah.
They gave Gagio screen time and they gave him a fight.
Okay, Gagio's screen time though was like.
It wasn't
a
page. It was like a chapter.
Yeah, it was a chapter. But then look at how it ended. He got pierced through, all right, by Alderaan. But then because he went smaller, it didn't affect him. You can't say that wasn't stupid.
It's fucking Fairy Tail.
But just because it's Fairy Tail, you can't use that as a justification for it being bad writing.
I mean, you can't. Has anybody ever died in Fairy Tail?
No, but I didn't want him to die. My point is,
but that's
it happened. But whenever it happened, right, and then no one said anything, no one addressed it, and it's like it never happened. In the past, stuff has happened and been like, oh shit, we should probably do something about this. Oh, he'll be fine.
But they don't really address things to begin with.
But this is why I'm saying I can't see it being. This is why I can't see 100 Year Quest being that good. It's not. They're putting so much focus on the ship stuff, right? That the actual plot of the story is falling.
I am comparing Fairy Tail to Fairy Tail 100 Years Quest. You're using other manga, your experience with other manga as a comparison, which sure is fair, but at the same time, I'm not gonna expect what's a fucking violent. I'm not gonna expect some Goblin Slayer type of gore in Fairy Tail, even.
No, but I'm not. But I'm expecting them to at least be like, "Oh shit!"
But when has that really happened in Fairy Tail? There's been times where Natsu's been fucked up, and now they're like, "Oh yeah, okay, just patch him up." That's the extent.
But they didn't even do that. But literally, no one cared at all. Like nothing. My point is though, it's taken away from that. It's worse. 100 Year Quest is worse at that than Fairy Tail was.
Fairy Tail was bad at it, bro. Yeah, I don't know what to tell
exactly. You. Fairy Tail was bad at it, and 100 Year Quest is even worse.
Besides that Gagio scene where that happens, what other time has it happened?
I can't think off the top of my head, but it's still one of those it's still it was nonsense. But that's not my main argument. And my point is that there's so much focus on character development, right, which I love. But then there's so much focus, right, on the ship development in a story where the primary focus isn't a romance. It's shifting towards a romance genre with the side of action. And you can't deny that there isn't a heavy focus on.
I do deny it. I do disagree. But you're basing the genre based on the original. Just because the main series was action, etchy,
Yeah, but
whatever. You
the
can't
ships.
call
The,
100 Years Quest etchy because just because Fairy Tail was, because if you look at 100 Years Quest, it's not etchy. You
it's
can't be
not.
going. Yeah, but you're basically using Fairy Tail's old fucking
Okay,
genre.
that's fair. But regardless, still, you can't even say that the ship development is good. You can't.
I
It's so forced. It's so eh.
I disagree
The
there.
only one I can say is probably good, right? Is I can say is Gray, right? It doesn't come
That
from me, right? It's
that's
because
the
Gray is
but that's
actually
the only
developing
one
as a
that's been
human being. He's
but
actually
that's the only
becoming not a
one
fucking idiot.
that's the only one that's been the focus. If
There's been Jazza focus. You can't tell me there
not a
hasn't been.
lot. No, there has, but not a lot. With the Jersey
There has
focus,
been. That a
are you gonna
whole last
are you
conversation.
one? Oh my lord! Oh my, I almost smacked you.
Which one? What one?
Okay,
What one am I mentioning?
we're gonna break it down. We're gonna break it down. We're
Which
gonna go
one?
back.
Which one am I mentioning? Which one am I mentioning?
You're probably talking about the one where they're in the fucking what's that called? The bridge, and they're talking, and then the moon's in there in the background,
Yeah,
and when
and
they're
that was
talking.
quite a heavy conversation.
Yes, but what I'm saying is it was a very natural conversation because she was gonna leave for a quest, so she was saying her goodbye. She
Yeah.
was trying to.
Okay. It was natural,
So
but
that's
the
not.
thing is,
But
it's
that's
still
not
not.
forced.
It's
You can't
still
call that forced
okay, but
if
it's
it's.
still not good. Like none of the ship stuff in Fairy Tail. Okay, maybe it's just me just not liking the idea of shipping. I think
That
that
I
the
think
shipping
that's
stuff is stupid because a lot of them aren't good. The only one that actually really properly works, and even though it's really fucking boring, is Garjo and Levy, right? Nalu, I like that idea, but not just too fucking stupid. Well, maybe it's not necessarily so because he never had parents to teach him that stuff. He's never seen like
I,
the
I
way he is he sees everyone as a friend and so on. So I don't I'm not really saying that's his fault,
yeah
but it
no because
constantly gets teased. But that's not good. To
I
me, that's not good storytelling, right?
I would argue.
Ruvia, eh,
Let's go by ship. Let's go by ship because I feel like we're going in circles.
okay.
Let's start off with Nalu. With Nalu, there hasn't been that you can't say that there has been a lot of focus. I would argue the most focus it got was in Fairy Now, and I agree that chapter was abysmal. I found it hilarious, but it was abysmal. And
In
other than that,
Edulus,
no, yeah, that's where I was gonna go. But in Edelas, it did not feel forced because it was literally Lucy talking to Edelas
yeah, okay.
Lucy,
I'll admit it didn't feel forced, right?
and then Natsu didn't even pay attention to that because he was more intrigued by the fact that he had a daughter, and he was like, "Can she do magic? Can she do this? Can she do that?" So I would call that forced.
Okay, but
I,
now
I,
would you call Nalu a good ship, a well written ship?
I love their chemistry. I love their.
Yeah, but
I
chemistry,
don't.
you can have that
From
chemistry between friends.
yeah, again, I'm
That's
not
what they
going.
are. All they are friends.
For me, I'm not seeing it as it's trying to develop them romantically in these interactions. Maybe the Edelas one is because she's like, yeah, we were a thing, so why aren't you a thing? But for me, I'm always seen like Mashima said, more than love, more than friends, less than lovers. It's slowly progressing there, and I'm sure it will get there. But I can't say that it's being forced because it's I don't see
Okay,
it as
okay.
being
Maybe it's not
forced.
being forced, but you can't say that
But
that the
my
ship
argument
is a good one.
my argument was never that the ship was good. I'm not a fan of any of the pairings. I've told you this before. I don't like them
But this is the
as
thing.
their mates.
They have a high focus in 100 Year Quest,
They do, but
but they're
that's
not
why we're going.
good.
But that's why we're going pairing by pairing because we're trying to like discuss if we think it's being done well. And the few moments that we've had with Natsu and Lucy interacting, at least in the romantic sense, quote unquote, I feel like it's been done in a way where it's not forced and seems like more like a natural progression of things. Because in Edelos, like I said, it was Edelos Lucy asking, "So when are you guys getting together? When are you guys having the kid?" And Lucy was like, what are you talking about?" She's like, "What do you mean? What am I talking about, homie? Like you're my Earthland version. He's his Earthland version. Get it together." And you had
Yeah,
Natsu.
but then can't you argue that that is putting a more force onto it because there was never a, as far as the Edelos lot were aware, right? That relationship between those two weren't necessarily like
There
a
was a
major thing.
there was
They
a
was known. I'm
there
not
was
saying it
a
was completely like
be,
gone.
before they got to Edelas in in Algeron when when Lucy saved Kana Lucy talked about Natsu and Natsu not feeling the same way with Kana, and she is, at least throughout the series, she's been shown to be significantly closer to Kana than anybody else. So she has opened up to, she does have feelings, but she doesn't know how Natsu will feel, or if he could even reciprocate them. So it's not like it's being forced.
Yeah,
It's
but then
moving.
what happens in Edelus doesn't necessarily have to be happening in Earthland. The characters are
No,
parallel.
I know it doesn't. But I'm saying she had the conversation with Kana, talking about how she doesn't know if Natsu could reciprocate it, and then she goes to Edolas, and her Edolas version is like, if he could do it with me, then your Natsu could do it with you, because the only difference between us is the ability to use magic.
Yeah, but then that's Edelus Lucy saying she could have said, "Why don't you have a partner?" But she said, "Why is it not to your partner?" There's a difference.
I mean, if you have a clone and they have if you have a,
But this is my point. Just because they're a doppelganger, it doesn't instantly mean that Earthland and everything that happens in Earthland is going to happen in. And if anything, it should be the opposite, because they are the opposites of each other.
You could argue that they don't really know how the world works, so they would.
They don't. But this is my point, right?
But that's exactly.
So okay, we already know that Natsu, right? Our Natsu, right? He's fucking tries to be manly and he goes full ham. They're Natsu's little bitch, right? Everyone knows that.
It's not his little bitch when he's not in the car driving.
Yeah, but the thing is, but they all know that, right? Take him out the car and he's a complete little bitch, right? Without the vehicle, he's nothing. Right?
Which is like Natsu. If you put Natsu in a vehicle, he's a little bitch.
Yeah, but they're still opposites.
No, I get what you're saying, but like going back to it, they don't know that they don't necessarily have to mirror one another, because they're like,
that's the thing. They don't know that they have to mirror each other. But then why is she assuming that mirror happens?
I mean, typical American, they assume, oh, if this happens, this has to happen. If this is,
see, that's the thing. I don't agree with that. I think that there's no
I
reason why she would have worded like that.
I get what you're saying, but you got to put yourself in the shoes of an idiot.
Yeah, but when I'm reading a story, I shouldn't have to do that.
I mean, it's
giving if you have to put yourself in the shoes of an idiot, right? Yeah, then it's not good writing. I don't see it as good writing. I can't.
It's giving you a different perspective. It's not making you. I mean, because okay, I'll give example with fucking Eden Zero. We know Shura was wrong. Marissa's like, yo, what the fuck, man?
Bro, I can't keep up. I don't know what's happening.
We know Shura was wrong, but if you put yourself in his mind, he was never loved. So the way he seeks validation is by torturing people.
No, but you still want to think he's right. You still want to think it's right. You shouldn't need to put yourself in the story. You shouldn't need to put yourself into their mind in order to sympathize and understand the character.
But I'm not saying agree with them. I'm saying to understand why they think that. You can't just.
Okay, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, but I still feel like it's just an unnecessary amount. Unnecessary amount. It's okay. The next ship, Gajevi, was read. Well,
I don't care about that.
They've moved. To be fair, we haven't actually seen too much of that. And each time we've seen it, it's been like minor things, like Gajio trying to be more grown up. So what's next?
We got. I would argue the screen time for Natsu and Lucy has paralleled, and in the ship sense, has paralleled the Gajio and Levy ship screen time. Maybe a little more for Natsu and Lucy, but I feel like it's been the same amount because there hasn't been a lot of heavy focus on both of those pairings. And like you said, we're talking about Gray and Juvia right now.
Nalu will come later. Nalu hasn't had as much as the others. I will admit that. My problem is that every single time it's come up, it hasn't been done well, in my opinion.
I mean, what hasn't been done well? Because I guess you never.
It feels like it's not. I still don't agree that it should be. I still feel like the endless whole conversation makes it feel a bit more forced. Because
What about her conversation with Kana?
the conversation with Connor, that one I can agree was a nice conversation that was had. I can agree that the way Lucy spoke to Connor about it and the way Connor also interacted with her did make it feel a bit better, right? And I can understand Lucy's frustration and her feelings and why their dynamic is how it is, Natsu and Lucy, right? That was a nice conversation, but then it also puts me in my mind, right, that there is Lucy. Why doesn't Lucy just bring it up with Natsu? Natsu's an idiot, but he would sit and listen to Lucy.
But we already know Lucy's very shy. She's been stripped a lot in the original series, but she's very shy.
Yeah, but I feel like she's still, with how close she is with Natsu, I still feel like she should still have that courage to be able to at least say, "Yo."
No, but that's not true because when Natsu left and he came back, she made one little snide remark and then she was like, "No, it's nothing. Sorry, never mind." So she's not gonna change who she is just
Yeah, but
because.
that would be development. To me, if she
Yeah,
did, that would be great development because she's overcoming that fear, that shyness.
I mean, realistically, it's been less than a year in the universe.
Yeah, but
So in
if
real
Gray,
life,
but if Gray can make the development he's had, right? Lucy definitely can.
No, but Gray has had the development as not as much, but he's had the development since the original series. Lucy hasn't. Lucy has always been this, not even always. She went from this very shy, timid girl to this shy girl who will stand up for herself when she needs to fight. But she will not speak her mind when she wants to because she still doesn't. I don't know anybody in real life who within a year's time goes from a super timid, shy person to just talking throughout.
Okay, I can agree, but I still feel like, okay, we can both agree here. I think Nalu is not going to happen unless one of them take the step forward.
That is very true.
Right
and
now, who's likely to do it?
Natsu. I feel Natsu.
Okay. Maybe Natsu is more outspoken and more.
Let's be real here.
To be forward about it.
Asuka asked them to kiss. Natsu was like, "All right, fine, let's go."
But I don't think Natsu would ever be able to take the relationship seriously unless Lucy put it out there for him.
I feel like there's a way the series can progress where it could develop Natsu and realize his feelings, his greater feelings for Lucy. Because I personally feel at the end of the series when he tells her we'll be together forever, that was his way of saying I like you and I want you to be with me. I interpreted it as that because I feel like Natsu's a dumbass who can't really. I mean, I fumble my words with my wife sometimes. I could only imagine this fucking idiot who was trained by a fucking dragon. So I thought, okay, he says we'll be together forever, and I was like, all right, he's telling her he likes her and he wants to be with her. I'm hoping he's more clear about that because obviously one of them needs to be more clear. But I feel like he's at least shown some growth in that regard.
Not to show growth in terms of his own. For example, when in what's it called, Beta Heaven, is that what it was called?
Beta Heaven was
the reactions there. He's shown a lot of maturity. That's the word I was looking for. Right, he has shown it. The first time we see him actually call Zeref his brother, right, and he's actually shown that he is as a person becoming less immature and that he is going in the right direction. But I still can't see him with, like, I don't know. I feel like he's the kind of person who's completely oblivious to the fact that Lucy likes him. I feel like he's completely oblivious to it, and I think that won't change until Lucy spells it out for him.
I think that has, and I think a lot of people feel this way because they still remember that he was raised by a dragon, and I'm not saying you're doing this, but I know people tend to be like, well, he's raised by a dragon, so he's not gonna know the social norms and the social cues. But my argument to that would be maybe he doesn't, and maybe the Fairy Tale Guild is a bit stupid when it comes to that. But Natsu is observant and he does notice shit. It's not like he's just.
He does, but is he going to take it as a hint for that though? I don't think so.
I would argue once he sees the way Gray is developing with Juvia, he's gonna realize that maybe he should be more open. Because I don't want to say, I don't know how to say it, but I would say more open about his feelings to Lucy. And it's not like people would be shook or surprised within the series because they see how close they are. He's always in her not her apartment. He's always spending time.
He's always in a bubble.
Yeah, he's always with her. If you need Lucy,
they're two peas in a pod.
Exactly. So I feel like it's more of him figuring out how to word it normal. Because, like I said, myself and I know some other people took their interaction in 100 Years Quest, not 100 Years Quest, at the end of chapter 545 as, oh, he likes her. He wants to be with her.
Oh, the one where he's like, oh, I've got something to say, and then
we'll be together. She hugs him, and he's like, I have something to say. We'll be together forever. We're gonna go on an adventure. Yada yada yada. And it's like that. For me, I was like, that's the closest this man's gonna say to "I love you," because this fucking man's an idiot. Again, I'm not justifying that he's an idiot or that he shouldn't have said it, but I'm just saying if I put myself in his perspective, he wouldn't know what love is. For him, I don't think he's ever said the word love. I actually don't think he has.
Okay, no, look, fair enough. I don't know. I just don't think it's well written.
That's fair. I feel like that you're reading a lot more genres, manga wise.
It could be that. It could be that I'm trying to compare it.
And that's fair. I mean, because if I read something like Goblin Slayer and I see the development and the growth and the interactions between the heroes and then the fights, and I compare it to My Hero, I could be like, yeah, My Hero is not doing this well, because if this and I won't say it out loud, but like in my head I'll be like, because in this series, in Goblin Slayer, this is happening, and this development is going on, yada yada yada. So I get the not liking it, but I also feel like if you compare it within the shonen genre, I feel like it's a little above the rest in terms of that.
You see, I romance. Okay, I'm not gonna say. One thing. Shonen's a demographic.
Yeah,
Shonen is a target audience. In this kind of story, to me, romance doesn't have a place. I'm not saying it can't be done. I'm just saying for it to be done well, it's not easy. And 9 times out of 10, it's done shit. And that's I feel like Fairy Tail is in that 9 out of 10. And for it to be the kind of story that it is, maybe it'll get better. Maybe I'm not gonna say it's gonna always be. It's just always gonna be shit. Maybe it'll get better. Right, but I don't. It just doesn't feel like it has a place as it does, and the only reason it has a place is because of the amount of fandom pushing on it.
I don't think the fandom has anything to do with Mashima and his storyboarding.
Maybe not. Maybe not, but I think that the ships have more focus because that's what a high majority of fans want.
I would agree if a lot of the Western fan base actually read the fucking series. I don't think a lot of them read it. When you tell people, "Oh, there's a sequel," a lot of them are like, "Wait, what? There's a sequel?"
Yeah, but a lot of them are still like the heavy fans, and when they get into the story, when they get into 100 Year Quest, they start joining in.
No, that's fair, but you can't say that it's it plays a huge role because
I'm not saying it plays a huge role, but it definitely I feel like it's still.
Well,
I feel like Mashima still sees it all and is like, okay, if these lot want a bit more ship stuff, I'll see what I can do.
But if he was gonna do that, he would have just made them canon and just given them an entire.
Not necessarily, because not making them straight up canon it gives a reason for people to keep reading because they're gonna keep reading in hopes that it's gonna be developed.
So by that argument, I guess the Groovia fans are gonna stop reading because they basically confirmed.
No, not necessarily, because now they've got another whole new thing. Okay, when you read a story, right?
I
Okay,
know.
an example is Androson, right? The other manga I'm reading. In that, right, you've got a girl who's really hot, the popular girl who's teasing the nerd, right? And in this story, bear in mind, this one, the romance, the different couples in the story are set. They're set in stone. You very early on, from when it starts, you know who's going to go through. There's no drama. There's no maybe I like this person, maybe I don't. There's no drama of that, right? You know which direction they're going. You know who's going to be with who. Now, with this, right, you've got the understanding that it's going to happen. I lost my train of thought now. What was I fucking saying? Yeah, so once the ship's developed, the ship becomes an actual relationship, right? You read it because you want to see how they get into the relationship, right? That's the fun part. That's the fun part that's the fun part of a real relationship in real life, right? First time you meet a partner, you go on dates, you talk all the time, you doing all this shit to try and make each other work, right? And then you become a proper relationship. It becomes a whole different story. Once you're in a relationship with someone, right? I'm sure that's why you can agree especially when you been in for a very long time, right? Stuff starts to change. You go on less dates. You start, it becomes a lot more about making sure you're still two individual people, right? But you are leading your life in the same direction together, right? Readers are excited about the ship stuff not being canon just yet. They want it to be canon, but Mashima is not making them canon right away because it keeps people gripping. Every time they know, there's a ship. I mean, look at the website. Every time there's a ship chapter, the website dies, and quickly, right? Because people are rushing to it. Is this going to be the time when it goes canon? Right?
To be fair, it's always dying.
Yeah, but it dies a lot faster when there's a ship moment. Even if
it hasn't died recently, but I feel like that's because we also worked on less series. But I get your argument, but like numbers wise, since we worked on less series, are
okay. But either way, when people know that there's a ship scene, they go to it because they're hoping it's going to give development to said ship, right? When the stuff becomes canon, right? Now people are even more excited than they were before because now they're hoping that they're going to be able to see the actual ship development rather than the development of two characters going towards each other. So before the ship becomes canon, it's two characters gravitating towards each other. When the ship becomes canon, it is now these two characters as one developing their life together. It's two different forms of excitement that you get. The longer you keep the initial stage, right, fans are going to get annoyed, but they're going to keep reading because they want to eventually see the final step. You know what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying. I mean,
because they've been with it for so long that if they drop it now, they're gonna be like,
I disagree wholeheartedly, but I absolutely understand what you're saying. We're too, and this is the fun part that we these different perspectives. Marissa, I know you're still here. Anything you want to just throw it?
Probably wishes she wasn't here.
She's like and like done. Okay, Marissa, you don't give a shit about 100 Years Quest. Do you think the pairings are forced? Why or why not? Are being forced? I'm sorry.
Or if not, do you feel like there's too much focus on the ships? That maybe it's shifting from what it was.
I don't care about ships and series, to be honest, unless it's a romance series. So I don't really pay attention to it.
But then do you not feel like it happens a bit too often to make you even care less, even more about the series?
I think 100-Year Quest is pushing more on it for sure, but it's not too much to where I'm like, oh, it's romance now. Like the last chapter was
that's fair.
More like ship based, I guess, because they have a Groovia moment, I guess, and I don't know how to say their ship name, Jalal and Ersa.
Jazza.
Lame ass. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. So you feel like there is a bigger emphasis on it, but it's not to the point where it'd be considered a romance.
Yeah.
Fair. Jav is like, get the fuck out.
No,
Fuck.
I'm not saying that
No,
it is a romance now, but it's starting to feel a lot more like a romance focus.
How many romance manga do you read right now?
Let me whip up my. Give me a second.
In general, I don't like romance stuff. Like, I prefer action, so I don't pay attention to it.
But you don't feel like it's too. Well, this man said 7, and he's still counting.
Okay, I'm reading 32 different mangas right now.
Right,
Okay,
and
I thought
out
you
of
were
those
gonna say-
32,
Jesus Christ.
16. Okay,
That's half of
between
it.
14 and 17.
Okay. So here's the issue now.
14 are definitely romance. The other 3 are like, it could be. In fact, I'm probably gonna drop them.
Okay. So here's the thing. You kind of this is perfect. You're reading more romance manga now. You're reading.
But I said this from the start.
No. Well, you kind of did. You're reading about half the series you read now are romance manga. So and now every time there's romance in fairy tale, you notice it a lot more, and you're more critical of it because you're comparing it to the way the romance manga you read do it. If I were to compare fairy tale to My Love Story, I would be fucking fuming.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It could be good, but it's not.
No, it's not supposed to be.
Yeah, but it's not meant to. Okay, but then now this goes to the Diablo situation, right? Why would you want something in there?
Hold on. My guy, I didn't even finish my chain of thought because you just.
Okay, go.
My point is, these romance scenes aren't supposed to be super like detailed because, like you said, they're trying to string you along, so you're like more intrigued. Like, oh, so what's gonna happen? I should probably read the next chapter in case it does develop. Whereas in a romance manga, the entire fucking thing is about romance. So the focus is on that. Like if I were to compare, like I said, if I were to compare Fairy Tale 100 Years Quest to something like My Love Story, I would be fuming because in My Love Story, within the first 3 chapters, my boy gets the girl, and then after that, it's just them having a good time.
Yeah, but this is my point. It feels like that 100-Year Quest is slowly starting to shift towards that. It's trying to aim towards where it's a focus on the ships rather than the fantasy adventure. Right, that's how it feels like to me. Okay, maybe it's starting to feel like that because by all technical cases, the way the story is going, you could argue that the 100-Year Quest might be the end of the fantasy adventure side of stuff. Because if this whole next generation bullshit happens, right, it's not going to be as much a fantasy adventure as it was before. I mean, it might still be. I don't know what.
I mean, if we go based off, we go off of Troubled Twins, which is one of the light novels, it will still be fantasy adventure, and there'll still be villains. And
do the parents go along with them? I haven't read it, so I don't know.
Well, no, it's Gagio and Levy's twins traveling back in time and meeting Team Natsu, and then future Romeo and future Asuko, which apparently is a thing. Going back. Well, I think that was the implication in the light novel. I don't speak Japanese a lot, so I only remember tidbits I read.
Is it a fan fiction or official?
No. It's an official release.
It's a light novel, yeah.
I don't talk about fan fiction. I'm not. What the fuck?
Fan fiction.
Yeah, that's why I was confused.
I'll smack you. No, I'm just kidding. I feel like the focus will always be fantasy adventure and the journey. Because
to me, it feels like it's shifting away from that.
I disagree though, because with Natsu and Lucy, you couldn't really mention much of the romance happening.
Yeah, but see, I'm not saying that it's exactly like that now, but it's slowly starting to shift into a romance rather than a fantasy adventure. The fantasy adventure, to me, I feel like it's suffering slowly. Look at each arc. Each arc has progressively got worse.
We disagreed there already. We talked about this.
Yeah, no, I know, but this is how I feel like each arc has progressively got worse. Everything post-Macphobia to me has been pretty bland.
I feel like
interesting stuff.
I'm not trying to be rude, and I don't want to sound rude. I feel like you should drop the series for at least 2 months, which is at least 4 chapters. Come back to it, and when you come back to it, just keep an open mind and don't try to compare it.
But even when even when I was catching up to 100-Year Quest, right before, I've only started reading other series, other manga in the last 2 to 3 months. All right, that's 3 chapters. All right,
2 to 3 months. That's
2 to 3 months. So that's 6 chapters. All right,
6 to 8 chapters. Yeah.
So that's barely that's still Celine arc. That's how long I've been reading manga. I've only just started reading manga. 90% of what I read is on cat manga. Right.
That's fine, but
I was still feeling this way before.
You've also been more critical as of late, though. I'm not saying it's a bad thing that you've been critical, because
no, but I've never brought it because it's never been really something to bring up. Like I've always I won't lie and say, all right, that I don't enjoy when the character interactions happen, whether it be the ship or whether it be friend. When they do happen, I'm not gonna lie and say that I don't enjoy them, right? Because I like to see characters develop, because each one has been a case where whether it be both parties or one of them, it's showing maturity, I guess is what I'll say, right? And it does show it. That is what I do like. But I feel like the actual dynamic of the ships and the way that they all progress, it just feels like there's too much of a focus on it. That's just how I feel. Like I'm not in fairy tale for ships and stuff, which is, I mean, every story is gonna, like, look at if I go to My Hero, right? I don't give a shit about 90% of the characters. In fact, I don't care enough about majority of the characters. The reason I enjoy the story is because of the fights, the character, the development that different characters have, and the way they learn their powers, and how the world works. You know, because every quirk is quite balanced. Every quirk has downsides to it. But give me the characters. I can't tell you. I can tell you right now, not a single character in that actually makes a top 20 list of mine.
You're disrespecting Deku so bad right there, but it's fine.
No, Deku's a great character. Deku's a very good character. I think Deku's had amazing development, especially the last 2 seasons, right? When I rewatched My Hero, I got more respect for him. Right, I started actually.
For people confused, he's talking about the anime. He's not talking about manga.
Yeah, I'm not a manga reader.
So when you hear this, don't fucking DM him in spoilers. Yeah. Be like, yo, this fucking happened. What do you mean? So for clarification,
anime wise, he's had amazing development. I didn't like Deku at all for the first 2 seasons. Actually, when was the tournament arc?
Second season. Yeah, the beginning of second season.
So second season, I started to like him a bit more the way him and Todoroki interacted. You know, he actually. He was a very good friend to me. You know, made him Todoroki realize that he needs to just be yourself. Use your fire side. It doesn't matter if it's your dad. It's not you. You're not him. Right? It's great. But I never cared about Deku really. Right? Season 4 with the whole Eri situation. From then on, I was like, yo, Deku's kind of mad still. My man's going ham. Right? Season 5, the whole of the first half of season 5, while it felt like a drag. The class wars felt like a bit of a drag. I still thoroughly enjoyed each one because each one got so much development and so much. I mean, each character gets a lot of development. Even the side characters got development in that. We didn't see them how they got it, but we've seen them have it. So with the other class, they were all having their own moments to shine. That's what I like about My Hero. The characters are well developed. There's not a single character that I actually thoroughly really like that I can put on a top 20 list of mine. I could probably put if I was doing development only and how well characters developed, I could easily put someone on there. I could put Deku on there. I could put Todoroki. I could put Bakugo on there. But as a character itself,
it's like liking Gray. Disgusting. I get what you're saying. I disagree again. But wait, Marissa, do you read or watch My Hero?
I plan to. I just haven't yet.
So she plans to, just like Dav plans to read Rave Master. But not happening. Got it.
Hey, at least I've got 14 chapters into it. Marissa ain't done shit yet.
So we have 2 pairings left to talk about. I know we kind of went on a little tangent.
I watched episode 1 of My Hero Academia.
Oh, there you go. Checkmate, Dev.
Episode 1 is like 2 chapters, so.
No, it's like half of chapter 1.
Oh, checkmate. The math works out. What's the other 2 ships? If I'm being honest with you, we can talk about it if you want, but I don't feel like it's gonna go anywhere. I think it's gonna go the same direction the Nalu one did.
I feel like the only one that has actually gotten a lot of development, and I could agree with you that some of it does seem forced, would be the Gray and Juvia one. But at the same time, I'm like torn because it seems forced, but at the same time, it doesn't seem forced. You get me?
Yeah. Okay, maybe me saying, what the hell was that? Anyway, maybe me saying it felt forced was the wrong wording. But my main argument is that I feel like personally there's just too much of a focus on them. Like I feel that maybe it's just because I don't like ships in a story where it's not a romance genre.
I think
it.
I think it's a couple of things. I think one, you first of all, you hate the fairy tale fandom. I respect that.
I mean,
let's not try to play nice. Most of them annoy you because of the way they behave with Mashima. So you hate an overwhelming majority of the fandom because of their toxicity. You hate part of that fandom that you dislike so much is the shipping fandom. That every interaction has to be a shipping moment, or what the fuck was the point, right? 3, you read more romance manga, so now you're more focused. I don't want to say focus isn't the correct word, but let's go with focus.
I'm noticing it more.
You noticed it a lot more. Like me, when I had a BMW, it's not a flex. It was an old 2001 BMW. I would notice a BMW more often when I was driving. I was like, oh shit, that's a BMW. So it's something like that where you notice it more because you're reading it more, you have it. And 4, I feel like the fact that it's bi-weekly kind of elongates your
frequency illusion. That's what it's called. It's when you experience something for the first time or notice it for the first time, you then start to notice it more and more.
There you go.
Doesn't necessarily mean that it's always been there.
So we got frequency. We got the fandom, the shipping aspect, which is toxic, even more so than the regular fandom. We got the frequency illusion, and then we just got that sometimes you wait 2 weeks for a chapter and it's not what you wanted it to be, or it's just not what you wanted for the 2-week wait.
Look, maybe I still don't think I can tell you now with like confidence that even when the ships become kind of developed, right? I'm still. It's not that I'm not gonna like it. I won't say I won't like it because I am the type of person where I might not like something now. Then the way it develops, I might end up liking it. I'm not gonna say I won't, but I'm still gonna feel like it hasn't got a place in the story because that's just me. I just don't feel like when there's you can't. To me, it's very hard when you've got a fancy adventure story and there is no focus on a romance, and then all of a sudden you decide to start throwing romance into the mixture, and you start putting more focus on it. To me, it starts to feel like a little too late. It should have been done sooner. The only one that got done sooner, and even that was the way they were done was pretty shitty and boring, was Garjev. Was
chapter 500.
Well, there we go. Chapter 500. That's a big boy number. I couldn't even count that high.
That's the problem, though. That's the problem, and this is why I say 100 Years Quest has the difficult task of giving you a sequel, but also giving you development and growth. Something Fairy Tail did very little of. With Fairy Tail,
I still don't. That's why I don't think. Okay, maybe okay. If I try and look at it without thinking about the ship side of it, all right, 100 Year Quest is probably better than the original series, but I still don't think it's good.
If you were to read Fairy Tail 100 Years Quest and not know anything about Fairy Tail, you would think it's a above average to a solid series with good character building.
I disagree.
World. There is good character building.
There is, but
there's good.
You can't. You wouldn't notice the character development without knowing the character before.
Wait,
You
no,
wouldn't
you don't
notice all of Gray's development that he's made now without knowing that he's a suicidal blockhead for majority of the
No,
series who develops
but-
and then loses his development.
But even within the series, within the sequel series, he still has development and growth.
Yeah, he does, but you won't appreciate the development without knowing it.
I mean, you won't appreciate it as much, but you'll still appreciate it. I mean,
I don't think so. You wouldn't notice it as much.
I'm gonna ask my wife to read the fucking series. See what she says.
I thought she had. I thought she had. Oh.
She hasn't. I think she saw 2 episodes with me, but she probably forgot about them.
I personally don't think it will ever have a place, in my opinion, in the story. I hope it's done well, and I do hope they all become canon, right? Because I would like to see it, but I don't think it has a place in the story.
Dav hates you all, is what he's saying.
I do hate everyone. You're all pieces of shit. Fuck it. Hate everyone, apart from the people that know that I don't hate them.
Mess? Did you say messed? Bro,
you said nice.
I said nice.
I
just because you like thinking about Mest, right, Kevin? I mean, what?
Hey, hey, who is friends with Mest? If you know, you know.
God.
Checkmate, bitch.
Fucking. Why you gotta turn into a Mest, bro? Why? Don't be a Mest, people. Don't do this. Don't be a mess and don't be a Mest.
Yeah, that was just hilarious. Anyway, back on track. So yeah, me and Dav obviously have our opinions. When we post this, which we will, share your thoughts, whether it be in the YouTube comments or in the Discord. Tag one of us or tag both of us, telling us your thoughts. Tag Marissa too, because apparently
Marissa's heavy into it. She loves it.
Yeah,
I love it so much.
See,
she ships Taurus and Lucy, so send her fan art of that.
No, please don't. She's a minor. Please don't do that. please don't do that.
No, then she could report them and they'll get banned by Discord.
Oh, that's true. I can ban them myself.
There you go. But yeah, that's our little discussion. We obviously very opposite sides of the spectrum. This man loves and is disappointed at what happened to Diablos. I'm happy as fuck. He does not like parrying, and I understand where he's coming from with in terms of the shonen umbrella, if you will. And I think it's good in some regards. And yeah, that's about it for this. We hope you enjoyed this little expansion of the main podcast. King will probably work on this after he works on the main podcast. I will have the AMA up and running relatively soon, I hope. Marissa is transcribing it, so send her love and support and thank her and the event coordinators. Anything else, guys?
Nope.
Marissa, any plugs you want to give?
Nah, I don't have anything.
There you go.
All right, so we'll probably end up